Hi Jewies, here's Alexandra. Now let's finish this high elf here. What I do now is start highlighting the grey parts, and for this I use a 50-50 mix of Codex Grey and white. I just simply highlight here the parts, this little bit on the arm and down here. The end of his rope. So for this I use now a starter brush. But be sure that you leave a little bit of the old Codex Grey behind as a shadow. So we are almost done. Now comes the hard part. We need a good pointy edge for this. So that's it for this. Now we mix in even more white to brighten up the color, and also put in a little bit of water. Over time you will know how much water you need in your paint. This is just a matter of practice. So now we're just highlighting the edges, the high corners. So now here at the arm. And we are done. So that wasn't that hard, wasn't it? Now we go for the blue parts. For that instance, we take us now ultramarine blue. So straight out of the pot. And we are highlighting now these tiny little rope things. And leave a little bit of the old blue color behind. So that we can see a little color transition. So now this part here, all around the edge. Where this blue should be. So I think you got the idea now, and I will finish up the rest of the blue parts and we will see us then. So the blue parts are now painted. Also I have painted the hairs here, and for that instance I didn't dry brush. Well, it's like edging the corners of something. Put up paint on the brush and then go just with the corner slightly over it, and then you get this effect. With dry brushing it would be too dirty. So now we will do the same again with a 50-50 mix of ultramarine blue and sky white. Let's mix the paint. There we go. A little bit of water into it to get a nice color flow. And then we just paint now the highest edges with this color. Just like that. So now here, a little bit, there a little bit. It's just like edging a space marine. Here a little line. Let's see here. So. Now we go to the hairs. I'm going to show you it again. Just like that. Don't paint the complete hair and all of it. Just a few spots to give it a nice shiny highlight. And then you're good to go. So in the next part we highlight the gems. Be right back. So now let's go for the gems. For this instance we will prime the gems now with a 2-to-1 mixture of Scab Red and Chaos Black. So it's a very, very dark red. So. No, in the back we don't have one. Okay, so now they are primed. Then we need our 50-50 mix of Scab Red and Blood Red. That is here. My red ore mix. So what we do now is highlighting downwards. So the upper part of the gem will be dark, and the lower we go, the brighter the gem will be. So now we use pure blood red. Always leave a little bit of the other color behind so that you get a nice color transition. It's very easy. So now we take blazing orange. This one we will now water it down a little bit, just a little bit. So now the underside of the gem. comes the part where the three-dimensionality is put into place. Very similar to painting in Space Marine Eye, with this tiny little white dot. So take your Skull White, a little bit of water into it, so that it doesn't dry out on the brush while you're attempting to do this. So I show it to you on the big one. We make now two tiny little white dots, one on the top and one at the bottom. So, like that. These are light reflections. So this one only needs one. And voila, the gems are done. So, in the next part, I will show you the skin. So, there I'm back. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay. What I use now is pure dwarf flesh. Also a little bit watered down. And then I'll start to highlight the skin now. There's a little bit too much color on the brush. So, and now we take a little bit of white and mix it into the color. To brighten up the skin tone. On these small areas, you don't need that much highlights. That little bit is enough. There you go. Now let's paint the eyes. For that instance, I'll use a much smaller brush. I use now the 3330 from Colibri. I take now white on my brush. Also watered down so that the color doesn't dry off on the tip of the brush. And now paint in the eye. Just like that. So, and now I take black. And a very, very tiny little black dot. Voila, he has eyes, and I think he's almost finished. We just need to highlight the gold a little bit more, and then we are good to go. And the base, and he's complete. So, for that instance, we take now again pure burnished gold. Also a little bit water in it. And then what we'll do is highlight the edges. So, do you see that? This gives the gold a little bit more. Not too much, just a little bit here and there. So now we take methyl silver and mix it into the gold. "50-50 mix, I would say. And then now the lowest end corners here. So that's all it is to it. It's not very hard. And ta-da! He is finished. Now let's paint the base. I think this little brown blackish color is okay though thus far. We will go from that. We will now dry brush this part. Let's take another brush. So I take now Codex Gray and dry brush over it. Very simple. So now I mix in a little bit of white to highlight this even more. And what I will do next is I'm using pigments to give it a little bit different touch. So, what do I take there? Oh, burnt umber is cool. Here, that's the color. Just take a wet brush, a little bit of pigments on your palette. So, water in it. That should be enough. And then, just simply like a wash, go over it. And it will give the whole thing a completely new appearance. Need a little bit more. So, now I take other pigments. Oh, this is good. Yellow ochre. And I'm mixing it right here on the model. Okay. And I think this is good. I'll be back in a second when this is dry. So, now we go for some finishing touches with a little bit of flock. Just take your white glue, place it there where you want to have the flock. And then simply dip the base into the flocking material. There you go. and he is finished. Ta-da! I hope you liked this tutorial, and we see us in the next video. You're Alexandra, and may the Supreme Being you are praying to bless you.